What's going on, everybody? James from I Am Wealth here, and welcome officially to the A Life Well Lived, a Physician's Guide to Wealth podcast, episode 1. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you're with me right now, we're growing this thing from the ground up. Welcome to a new kind of wealth. This is going to be a grassroots movement. So as the listeners continue to grow, if you're with me from the beginning, I thank you for being an OG with me today. A very special shout out to the entire I Am Wealth team, my business partner, Jeff, all of our member clients, as this would not be possible if it wasn't for all of you. So I appreciate you. Shout out to you. A special shout out to the Doctor Podcast Network for helping me bring this to life. And another special shout out to my fiance, Steph, as none of this would be possible without you and all of your love and support through all of this. And lastly, a special shout out to you, because you being here right now separates you from most. So thank you for your time and your attention, as that is the number one thing that you have in this life and lifetime. My mission for you in this podcast is to help you take control of your money so you can live a purposeful life. One of my favorite quotes from the great philosopher Will Smith is, "Money and success don't change people. It merely amplifies what's already there." Now, it can change people if your ego is in the way, but my goal for you throughout this podcast is to use your money to amplify what is already there for you so you can live your best life, your most meaningful life, a life of purpose and joy. So thank you so very much once again for your time and attention, and I promise I will be your guide throughout this entire process, and I will not let you down. Okay, so we're going to start super simple, right? How to listen to this podcast and how to get the most out of this podcast, right? Just starting with the basic fundamentals. So I'm a huge believer in podcasts and listening to podcasts, huge believer in doing audio programs, leadership trainings. I've invested thousands of dollars into different programs to invest back into myself. And if you're with me right now, I imagine you have a similar mindset. So a few tips on how to go through this podcast and listen. Tip number 1 is just simply being here and taking time to invest back into yourself. As I said earlier, your attention is the number one thing that you have in this lifetime, and you being growth minded already separates you from most. There's over 700,000 physicians in America. And how many of the horror stories have you heard of physicians earning 500,000, 600,000, 300,000, whatever, and still living paycheck to paycheck or working well into their 70s and 80s? Humans are funny, right? We're predictably irrational. We procrastinate on most things, but not you. You're here with me right now, and you're a proactive person. So most couldn't be bothered to do this. That's secret number 1. You're here right now. 3 of every 4 American families say money is their number one household stress. Think about that for a second. 3 of 4 of your friends and your peers and those in your family say money is their number one household stress. It's directly from a CNBC report. And 42% of physicians, as you know, report burnout and depression year over year over year in the Medscape reports. And typically something to do with money and lifestyle falls into the top 10 reasons why. So simply being here and separating yourself from those that won't take control of their money is the best first step. And hey, you're already doing that. So check that off. That's a win. That's a win for the day, right? Okay, so step number 2 is simply becoming aware and knowing thyself. You cannot change your outer world until you change your inner world. You cannot feel different and take control of your money until you become aware of why you are the way you are about your money. And hint, it probably came from your childhood. You know science, right? So a majority of what we know as human beings was pre-programmed and conditioned into us. All of our beliefs came during our childhood. So how were your parents about money? How were those that raised you about money? Where did your views of money come from, right? We have some pretty wonky views of money in this country. So where did your views come from? So I'm going to talk a lot about becoming aware and knowing thyself, because if you're finger pointing, if you're blaming the government, if you're blaming your spouse, if you're blaming your healthcare system for your current lifestyle, then you are viewing it wrong. You have to look yourself in the mirror, gain awareness, and know thyself, and then you can make change, and then you can lead by example and influence the people around you in your life. It's not the government's fault. It's only your fault. You have to take responsibility and become aware. So that's step number 2. And I will guide you through this awareness process, right? So a couple questions that I'd already asked you is, why are you the way you are about your money? Where did your money views come from? Do those in your life share similar money views, or how were they raised, and what are their viewpoints on money? So reflect on those questions. And then step 3, as you can see, I'm asking you self-assessment questions throughout this, which I will continually do, is take action. You can read all you want in med school about how to deliver a baby, how to perform spine surgery, whatever it is, right? But until you're in the heat of the moment in training, patient lives, patient dies, baby is successfully born, or something goes wrong, do you really actually know how to deliver that baby, right? So how many people do you know that have a giant bookcase but don't apply any of it and aren't unsuccessful? I hate to say it, there's a lot of not so rich brainiacs in the world. There's a lot of really, really, really smart people, high IQ, but they don't take it and implement it into their life. So don't fall into that trap. The most important thing to do, if you don't take anything else away from this episode or anything else, is to take action on what you learn in this podcast, right? So I'm going to call out action items throughout the podcast. There will always be an after action item for you to do. So always have a pen, paper, maybe go online and buy like a small little notebook or something. I should have made like a, exclusive A Life Well Lived, A Physician's Guide to Wealth podcast notebook for you. But we'll do it in the future. But Notes app on your phone. And after every single episode, you're going to write down what are 1 to 3 actions that you can take in the next 24 hours to push you in the direction of your most purposeful life as it relates to your money and your lifestyle. So for today, action item number 1 is, what are you going to do to make sure that you are prepared and going through this journey with me? Do you need to go buy a notebook exclusively dedicated to taking control of your money? Do you need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I the way I am about my money? Do you need to take more time to consistently carve out time on your schedule to listen to things like this? And a good way to actually go through and listen to this, I learned this from Darren Hardy, it's called net time, no extra time, right? Like when you're driving, when your mind is free, but your body's in movement. It could be while you're working out, while you're exercising. How many times, right, you could be like listening to a podcast while you're driving in the car, and the second you get lost, you're like, oh my god, turn the music down, turn it down, because it's requiring your brain. So it's amazing the amount of content that you can consume in your net time, no extra time. So I definitely would encourage you to do that when you're out on the walk or whatever it might be. I would be honored and grateful to join you on your journey. So we're going to keep it super short, super simple for you today. So think in your head right now, what is one action that you can take that's in alignment with your vision that you have and what you're hoping to get out of this podcast and taking control of your money? And write it down and then go act. And then I'll see you again next week for episode number 2 of the A Life Well Lived, A Physician's Guide to Wealth. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. And I'm super grateful for this journey with you.